All right, we're live. What's up, YouTube? Hobo Nichol BBQ back with you again in the hot seat, live with Cooking with TomTom. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Chris, and hey, everybody watching. Thank you for the opportunity to be on Hobo Nichol BBQ and be in the hot seat.
So it looks like we got 8 people watching right now. We got Barlow Barbecue, Meathead, Texas Style Cuisine, you yourself, Barbecue. And if I'm taking a bet, Christy's cooking channel can't figure out how to get the screen up because that's what she does. And we've got, I believe, possibly our first Canadian viewer, if he's still on, which I just came across his channel today, coming off a Big W barbecue off a comment, which is in for the grill barbecue. He needs to keep up everything because, oh, there he is, because I can see that he's going to get the hang of this. So without further ado, we will jump into the first question, Tom, which is, where are you from?
I am from Shreveport, Louisiana, which is an extreme northwest Louisiana. And, you know, Big Lou said it when you interviewed him a few weeks ago. I am a Yankee. And he forgot to mention that he is too, technically now, because he lives north of Interstate 10, just not as far as I do. So we're both Yankees.
So I work in the oil refining business, and we have a lot of people from Louisiana. And the I-10 north or south thing is quite the entertaining conversation. We'll say, well, I'll leave it at that. All right, wife, kids, anything?
No wife, no kids. Haven't been married yet. Maybe one day, we'll see. But can't really say a whole lot about that because it just hasn't happened yet.
Well, I did it once. Didn't work out, so I can't say that you're winning or losing. All right, this is off script because I didn't write this one down, but I think to date everybody has had a dog. Are you breaking the streak?
You know, I have, with as much traveling as I do and as much as I'm in and out of the house, I have not had my own dog yet. My parents have a little miniature dachshund that is probably the closest thing to my own personal dog I've had. I mean, we had a dog when I was growing up. We had a black lab. I called her a retarded black lab because she was afraid of birds and didn't like the water. We had her from the time I was 7, and I think she was put to sleep when I was 18 or 19. And so I don't have a dog right now, but that was the only my dog I guess you could ever say I had. She was a sweet, affectionate dog, but very interesting. We used to call her the retarded Ronco dog with collapsible legs because when she ran, she had what's called hip dysplasia. And so when she ran, her front legs would run like this and her back legs would hop, and she'd run at an angle like a car that was terribly out of alignment. It was actually quite entertaining to watch.
Johnny from Texas Style Cuisine says, what? No dog, I'm out of here. All right. What do you do for a living? Or what things do you do for a living? I'll leave it at that.
Well, I'm the founder of a company, basically the president of a company called Lifetime Visionary. And through that, I do a lot of motivational speaking. I label myself as a teacher, trainer, coach, consultant, and mentor. But the main thing I do is I teach leadership. I'll go into companies that are wanting to go to the next level, or maybe they're struggling a little bit, and look at their whole operation and show them how to go from where they are to where they want to be, or why they're stuck, different things like that. A lot of troubleshooting. I help people to go from having what we call a command and control environment, where you have the micromanager in charge, and help them to go to a leadership environment where it's really more of a team atmosphere and helps them to grow. That's why a lot of companies don't survive, because they have that command and control atmosphere. They have a lot of turnover. So I do that. And I also am, I say, working my way into the rental property business. I own a company called Winlight Properties here in Louisiana, and starting out with residential and then eventually going to move into commercial as well. But those are two totally different worlds to work in. So I'm just focusing on residential right now. But the main thing I'm doing is really the public speaking, and I love doing that, motivational speaking. just helping people to understand how to cast a vision and set goals to accomplish that vision, how to train leaders, all that kind of stuff. When people are maybe in a company where they say, wow, we're going through all these changes and our people are kind of struggling with it, I will go in and help them make the transition. And so that's probably the longest answer you've ever received, Chris, to that particular question.
So I am keeping notes of certain records. I think Texas Style Cuisine has the record for the longest interview. You now have the record for longest job profile, and Barlow has the longest record for playing the singing bowls, or Tibetan singing bowls. I've got a list. What do you record with on your channel?
Well, for the longest time, I recorded with what should probably be in the Smithsonian now. It's an iPhone 5S. Yeah, I could probably make some money off of that. I'm glad I said that. We have that on record now. That's what I used for the longest time. But over my shoulder is my new Vixia. It's a Canon Vixia, and I think that's a Canon. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I just recently picked that up, and it has the boom mic on it, which I'm still kind of trying to figure out. I've got a new double mount coming for that, so I can record without having to MacGyver that thing on. I am using zip ties to hold the boom mic on right now. It's literally a MacGyverism, but that's what I'm using to record with now. I'm thinking about maybe using the cell phone for additional shots, like a second camera, because I have a little bitty tripod for the cell phone that I was using. But as y'all know from my previous videos that you've seen, the lighting was just not very good with the cell phone, and the sound wasn't the best. So I like what I have now with the Vixia. It's much better. In fact, you were the one that actually turned me on to that, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was me and Baby Back Maniac, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So Meathead wanted to know what you thought of the camera thus far.
I am very pleased with the camera so far. I actually had one similar to this when I first started my YouTube channel many years ago, which I know that question is coming, so I won't go too much into that. But that was what I originally had, and I think I purchased it back then. I didn't have, actually I had a lapel mic back then, but I was using it as kind of a multitasker, which is what I do with this one as well. But I'm really pleased with it. It works well. It's nice to be able to see myself without having to flip the screen around and all that kind of stuff. And the lighting quality is much better. The sound quality is better. I'm learning how to make that boom mic work where it doesn't sound like I'm yelling all the time, because it kind of distorted my voice. In fact, that's what Meathead had mentioned to me a while back when we were talking about that. But ultimately, I am very, very pleased with the Vixia.
All right. Going back to what you do for a living, Jars Johnson wants you to tell him how he can make millions.
Well, the best thing you can do, Jars, is find a need that somebody is not meeting very well and do a better job of meeting that need, and basically find a need and meet it. But here's the real key to it. If you make people appreciate you because you appreciate them, that's what you do. You make millions by working on yourself, and that improves how you work with people. And when you make people feel valued and add value to what they're expecting from you, going over and above what they expect, you will make millions. But here's the real key to all of this. No matter what you choose to do, if you stick with it and don't give up, that's where you really win.
Awesome. There's one more question here. I usually save these to the end, but sometimes when they come up, you can't pass it up. Robert Roy wants to know, have you ever cooked live before?
Not yet. That's something I'm planning on doing. I'm trying to see if I can use the my other camera over there to do that, or if I'm going to have to use a cell phone to do it. But that is something I'm planning on doing. Haven't done it yet, though.
I'll say, Robert Roy, I haven't. I know you do about every day. Just my personal opinion, I wish there was ways, because I've left you comments while you do it live, and I know being a one-man job, it's probably impossible to do, but there's times it'd be interesting if there would be ways that you could interact on there, because that would be totally awesome just from my perspective. Arlo says he can't see me. Can anybody see me?
I can see you, so everybody else should be able to. They may
I'm
need to
happy
actually
if
make an
nobody can see me.
adjustment on their screen.
Well, on the YouTube thing, I don't think they have. I think it's because I have you clicked on here. Let me do this.
Oh, you know what? That's probably what it is.
Huh. Well, I'm good. I made it through the first X number of minutes without being seen. All right, Corby, I think I got it fixed. Look at how terrible I
There.
look
Okay,
today.
I'm looking
I
at you
didn't do
now.
my makeup. All right. What kind of, so usually this is outdoor cookers. I know you're kind of a little bit different. We'll go with what kind of cookers do you have?
Well, I do have a couple of outdoor cookers. My first one that I was using in my last few videos from I guess about June until just about a month ago was a Smoke Hollow offset. And that's a great cooker, but it's not good for doing a low and slow. So about a month ago, I picked up a Weber Smoky Mountain, and I've fallen in love with that thing because I can cook on that thing for as many hours as I want to. I had struggled so much with that Smoke Hollow. I wanted to try and keep it at 175, and no matter what I did, I could not do it. It would eventually jump to 300. And the first time I ever used my Smoke Hollow, I kept that thing at 175 for 6 hours, and it was awesome. And so as far as that goes, those are my cookers outdoors. Now, I do have a Garland stove in my kitchen. It's actually a commercial range. It has 6 burners. It has a pretty good size, what do you call that? Having a brain fart. The well, anyway, the flat top thing, whatever it's called.
A griddle?
A griddle, yes. How did that, man, my goodness. You know, this is really good, though. This is, if any of you ever want to become public speakers, don't feel bad if that ever happens to you in public, because it happens to me sometimes in front of a couple of hundred or even more people. That's really fun when that happens. Of course, the good thing about that is when you get off track with that, you usually have a couple of hundred people who, some of them are paying attention, and they can say, this is what you just said. But the stove itself with the griddle and the 6 burners, and it has 2 ovens in it. And I mean, I could cook for an army with that thing. It is awesome. It has a commercial vent hood on it and everything like that. You know, if you watch my videos, you'll see it. I usually start off now with that as my backdrop. So just check out my latest video. And if you hadn't seen it yet, you can at least see part of it. And I've done a few cooks on it as well. So that's what I have.
Yeah, I got total kitchen envy the first time I saw that. Not gonna lie. Robert Roy wants to know, what was the first meal you ever uploaded on YouTube?
It was actually some smoked Jimmy Dean sausage. I bought the sausage at the grocery store, and then I smoked it myself on just a little small smoker I'd bought at Wally World. This is years ago. And so that was my very first one. That's actually some pretty good stuff. Go back and check that out. If you look at my my oldest videos, you can actually still see it. It's pretty neat. Try that out.
Yeah, I actually just watched that Monday, Tuesday, can't keep track. I watched probably, I don't know, 20 of your videos in the last week. On top of trying to keep on track of everybody else I watched. Who taught you how to cook?
Well, I learned very little from my parents growing up. I learned how to scramble eggs, and I learned how to make homemade biscuits. And I think my mom taught me how to make gravy one time. Other than that, the vast majority of what I have learned has come from just trial and error. It's also come from watching YouTube videos. Of course, before YouTube, many years ago, back in the late 90s, I would see something on TV and say, man, that looks good. I'd get the recipe and I'd try it. And that's pretty much how I've learned how to cook. So I've learned from a lot of people. I used to watch a lot of Good Eats. One of the best things I ever cooked came from something I learned on Good Eats, and which was a steak. And I've actually done something with that, not that exact recipe, because I try not to duplicate what I see on the Food Network, at least from years gone by, back when the Food Network was worth watching. I probably just offended somebody, but oh well, wouldn't be the first time. But
Well, now you got to watch the cooking channel. That's where all the cooking happens.
Okay. You
And
know,
the
I
Food
don't even
Network
have, I don't even watch
competition.
TV anymore. I'm so busy with everything I do and just all the stuff I do. I don't even watch TV. So my cooking lessons now come strictly from YouTube. Folks like you, Chris, and Matt Barlow, and just all kinds of people. Everyone watching, I've probably watched your videos and learned something. So essentially, that is the believe it or not, the short answer to that question. That's the thing. I'm a speaker. You know, here's reality for everybody. There's three kinds of people in the world: those who are good at math and those who are not. I had to choose speaking for obvious reasons.
All right, so I seen in one of your recent videos you're on a lifting diet. So what does a typical weekday cook look like for you? A non-on camera.
Depending on what I'm eating, but it all comes down to the same thing. I have basically an amount of protein on the plate that is the size of the palm of my hand, a complex carb, and a starch that is about the size of my fist. So it could be, I eat a lot of chicken that I prepare multiple different ways. Sometimes fish, sometimes steak, usually some kind of rice and some beans and a salad, something like that. So that's about typical. I juggle it around with a lot of different things, but it has to be kind of along those lines for it to fit in with the weightlifting diet.
All right. I can't remember if I asked you this question. I think I skipped it. Did I ask you how long you've had your channel for?
No, you didn't.
All right. So I'll save you that answer because your channel came on May 18th of 2012.
Yes.
You got 414 subs last I looked, and basically 180,000 and a half views.
Yeah,
So what is
and
your
and you
channel?
know, a lot of people might say, "Well, you've had your channel that long. Why do you only have those numbers?" And of course, that's the thing. If you check out, I've done a lot of research on YouTube. I've seen such a lopsidedness with it. You'll see people with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views, but very few subscribers, or thousands of subscribers and very few views. So it's interesting to see how that works. But I think I stopped making videos in 2013 sometime and didn't make another one until 2015. And then I stopped in 2015 and didn't make another one until June of this year. And so it'll be interesting to see by the end of this year where it is. But just in the last week, I think I started at four something, maybe even less than 400 last time I checked. I was at 407, I think, on Monday. And so it's gained a little bit of steam since then. And I'm really, what I'm doing is I'm applying what I teach people in business to what I'm doing with the channel, and it's starting to kind of work and grow. And that's one reason why I upgraded my equipment recently. So I expect to have 1,000 subscribers before the end of December, which means, and I hope it's okay for me to drop this here, Chris. Um, I think you know what I'm going to say. When I reach 1,000 subscribers, I will be giving away some kind of a smoker. I don't know what type, but I will have a video for that, and we'll basically do the random comment picker on that particular video. And somebody's going to win a smoker, and I promise it's not going to be a $50 Walmart special. I don't know what it's going to be yet. It could be a Weber Smoky Mountain. A lot of it's going to depend on what the winner actually currently has. I don't want to duplicate what they already have, and so we'll kind of work with that a little bit. But that's something we're going to do that I think will help a lot to grow the channel, and yeah, it should be fun.
That'll be awesome. So whoever wins, named Hobo Nichol BBQ.
Could be.
Robert Roy wants to know what the ultimate goal for your channel is.
The ultimate goal for my channel is really just to have fun and get to know people. This is purely my hobby. And so, you know, obviously with the stuff that I do, it kind of varies on when I travel. I'm not gone all the time, but there'll be times where there's spurts where I am. And so I need a good little getaway. Weightlifting is a hobby, and cooking is a hobby, and video editing is a hobby. So I've kind of put those two things together, the cooking and the video editing together. So it's really just kind of a way to relax. But it's also, since I do what I do in business, it's also another stream of income. I don't make a ton of money off of it yet, but this is the first time I think since I've had the channel that I've been paid twice in 1 year, and I'll probably get 2 or 3 more before the year's over at the rate things are going. And so all of those things kind of work together. The money's not as big of a deal because there's not a ton of it coming in. But who knows? One thing I like to do is I like to do things for people. And so making more money with the channel could lead to doing more for other people, having money to give and just take care of folks. I like philanthropy. And who knows? We may wind up giving away smokers on a regular basis one day. You never know.
Right. So you brought up editing. What do you use for your video editing?
Until yesterday, I was using Pinnacle Studio, and I think I have a very old version. It's 15. It's Studio 15 HD. It's a very versatile program. It's easy because you can use the hunt and peck method on it. Well, yesterday I started using Pinnacle, or not Pinnacle, but Adobe Premiere Pro. And it is a totally different world. It is not as easy to hunt and peck your way around, but I know in the long run, if I learn it correctly, that's going to really help to upgrade the quality of my videos. So I'm now using Premiere Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro, and so hopefully that will increase the quality of the videos and make them better.
Right. So I use Power Director 15, I think, and there's no hunt and peck on that thing. I have to literally search for every type of thing because there's nothing that's right on the first screen. It's like you got to drill down 3 menus to find something. So I'm still learning that, but yeah, it's fun. Frustrating, but fun.
Yeah.
Favorite video you made thus far and why?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all that.
Favorite video you've made thus far and why?
I'd have to say the smoked cucumber video, which I'm surprised only 2 people have said anything about it. That actually I made a mistake when I went to the store, but I thought I will go with it anyway, and maybe no one will notice. But there's been 2 people that noticed that was not a cucumber; it was a zucchini, and that's pretty funny actually. But I guess most people don't know the difference. So anyway, that was my funnest video so far, my favorite video. And the real reason for that was not only because of the uniqueness of what I did with that, smoking the zucchini that was called a cucumber, but because of all the interaction with some really awesome folks. I mean, you were one of them, Chris, and some really big, high-profile YouTubers participated in that. With that, like Troy from T-Roy Cooks and Justin from Baby Mac Maniac. I mean, it was really cool. That was a fun video to make. But I have to say, it's a toss-up really between that one. That probably does win out. But the fried hot dog video was a blast as well because my dad was in that. He really made that video a great video. My dad's a professional actor. He's been in movies like Steel Magnolias and Blaze with Paul Newman in it, and a few others, and a lot of commercials and stuff like that. So that one was a lot of fun as well. But I guess if I had to choose just one, it would be the smoked cucumber video.
Awesome. So we got a new guy, I told you at the beginning, in for the grill barbecue, and I think he's tripled his subscribers now just from this, which I think is awesome. Robert Roy is taking the record for most questions asked. I think Corby had it before. He had asked if your family helps out in making your videos. I commented back that you didn't have a wife or kids, but I don't know if there's anybody else kind of in your network that helps you out on any.
Other than my dad helping the one day, which I did all the filming on that, nobody has yet. If I do a live video, somebody's going to have to help me with that. I'll probably go over to my parents' house and shoot the video over there if we do a live video, because it's harder for them to get over here because my grandmother lives with them, and so they can't get away very often. So I'll probably have to go over there. So I will have some help with that video. So that's probably going to change. But for now, I just set everything up and do it all myself.
Awesome. My favorite question that nobody has had a good one on yet. Funny stories while recording that haven't made it into the final edit.
Wow. I don't know that I really have
it could be.
I don't have a whole lot of those. I don't know that I have any really. you're making me think a little bit about this. You know, the only one that really ever happened, I put in the video, and it was because I was holding my cell phone up like this, and I dropped it and caught it, but I kind of caught it. But that was in my video on, I think that was the Juicy Hamburger uh, collab that I did with Lars from Lassie's Food and Barbecue. As far as anything funny goes, I can't really think of anything. You know, I don't want to sound conceited in saying this, but I usually don't have to shoot more than once. It just works that way. And you know, not only with me just speaking, but just everything just kind of goes that way. I don't know. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough. I'm not really sure.
Right. I typically have a problem with, it's not so much, it's usually in the beginning where I will screw up the intro. And I think if you watched my fry sauce video, I did the outtakes one, which strangely enough, the outtakes has outperformed the actual recipe one. I'm not sure how to take that. I guess maybe I just do outtakes from here on out and say the F word a whole bunch. All right. What have you learned from having a YouTube channel?
I've learned that consistency is very important. And if you're not consistent with what you do on YouTube, then you're going to see some fluctuation. At least that's what I've seen in viewership. You may not see fluctuation in your subscribership, but I know there's a lot of people that subbed my channel when I first started back on May 18th of 2012 who don't have a clue that I'm making videos again. And so that's probably the most important thing I've learned, is that I need to be consistent. But I think the greatest thing I've learned, as far as something really positive, is that there are some really awesome folks out there that are not afraid to get to know you and help you out however they can. I love the camaraderie that goes with this. I'm really happy about, I don't know how long it was around before I got involved in it, but the YouTube group you created, the YouTube Cooks Facebook page, or yeah, that's what it is, on Facebook. And I mean, I have made some awesome friends through all of this, and people that are just fun to talk to, and you can count on them commenting on the videos. And I really like the sincerity in that. You can tell when somebody comments on your video and they're just trying to get you to sub to their channel. And even if they don't say to sub, you can just tell they didn't even, it's like they cut and paste the same comment onto everybody's video thinking they're going to grow their channel that way, and they might get a few subs that way. But the thing I do with that, if I do sub somebody, I usually don't hit the bell when I'm suspicious of that kind of thing. If I think they're worth subbing, I'll think, well, I'll just watch it if I happen to see it. But those are probably the two greatest things I've learned, is those two things. And it's just it's a lot of fun. I enjoy this. I'm a people person. I like to get to know people. When I speak in public, I'm always there an hour before the meeting start, and people come and they want to talk, and I like to get to know people. And that's one of the big advantages to what I do for a living. One of the things that I do for a living, and that's one of the big advantages is to this whole YouTube thing, is getting to know people. People like you, Chris, who I can email and say, hey, man, I'm making a smoked cucumber video. Would you contribute? And you and so many other people did, and I really get a lot of pleasure and joy out of that. It's fun.
Yeah, that was fun, because what I liked about it, and I don't know whether you did it intentionally, or at least it was with me, is you didn't tell me this to X number of people. So I'm sitting there in my head going, crap, I got to make this good. And I had about 5 plans, and I think I sent you 2, but it wasn't what my first want was, but it's the one that I was able to do. I was trying to get Mrs. Hobo in there too. I was going to sit, I always sit, we've got an L-shaped couch, and I always sit on the floor and watch YouTube videos on there, and she'll lay on the actual couch. And I was going to pull up my phone like I was getting a message and say, you remember that guy, TomTom? He's going to smoke a cucumber. What the heck? And then she was going to go, that sounds like it could be pretty good. It just didn't work out. We wasn't able to get it to you like that.
That would have been awesome. Well, at least you thought of a great idea.
Well, now you can trade in that zucchini, do a cucumber, and we can rock that.
That's true. We can always redo it and do it the right way.
All right. Christy's cooking channel wants to know what the worst thing you've ever cooked and what the best thing you've ever cooked. And my interpretation, because she's asked that on every one of these, is not necessarily that you've made a video on, but just in life.
Well, as far as the best thing I ever cooked, And I have tried my best to duplicate this ever since. I'm not really sure what I did, but it was a sirloin steak. I had a friend over one night, and we cooked a couple of sirloin steaks, and the flavor, I mean, he still talks about it to this day. This was back 5 years ago. He still talks about it to this day and occasionally tries to duplicate it himself. And neither one of us have been able to quite do it. But I think what happened was I had just the right amount of smoke on it. I bought the steaks, went home, seasoned them with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. That was it. Didn't put any marinade on it or anything like that. Let them sit for 30 minutes, come to room temperature, and smoked them over some coals and some mesquite wood. And I mean, that's like folklore for my buddy who had it. That's one of those things where I was fortunate to have somebody around when I cooked something that was just really awesome. And so I would say that had to be my best. The worst that I've ever eaten or ever cooked, I know there's things out there. I probably mentally blocked some of this because it was so bad. I actually tried to shoot a video a while back. It was probably 2 or 3 months ago of a Cornish hen. And again, I was trying to slow smoke this, and I hadn't figured out what was going on with the smoke hollow yet. But that thing was just so dry, and it was burned. The skin was burned on it, and it was just, I mean, it was terrible. I can't think of anything worse than that. I'm sure there is something worse than that. I guess I just mentally throw that stuff out. It's like, let's pretend that never happened. That's the only thing I can think of offhand. I've burned stuff over the years and thought, well, let's just try it anyway. And it was terrible. I will say this. One time years ago, I've lived in Colorado at 2 different points. And the first time I was up there, this was about 6,000 feet above sea level, and cooking at that altitude, I'm sure Lyle from No Hippie Barbecue can attest to this, is a very different experience than cooking at sea level. I don't know if he's cooked at sea level before, but it's just a different world. And I'll never forget, I was a little short on charcoal, and I said, well, maybe we can make this work. And I noticed the charcoal was just burning up really fast and turned into ash. And so I threw some chicken on top of that, and I had a bunch of people over at the house that night. And basically the chicken turned to coal, and we had to go to a restaurant. It was bad. It would have been bad enough if I had had nobody around, but to have people around to witness that, I had to, erase the memory as best as I could so I'd never bring it up again. But that's probably the best answers I can give to that question.
Charlie's Smoking Barbecue. I don't know if he's asking the group or if he's asking you or if he's asking us. Wants to know if you have any thoughts on the pit barrel cooker or the Weber kettle with the slow and sear.
Well, I haven't used either one. I've sure seen a lot of videos on them, but I really like that slow and sear with the Weber kettle because it really works very similar to what I'm doing with my Weber Smoky Mountain, but I don't think you have to spend quite as much money on it as I did on that Weber Smoky Mountain. It was worth every penny, I'll say that. But I really like what the slow and sear allows you to do. And if that's something you're trying to pull off where you want to put a sear on something at the end of the cook, I don't think you can lose with that. I have yet to see anybody, and maybe they just haven't posted the videos, but I've yet to see anybody have any problems with that yet. I'm not going to say it's foolproof, but it looks like it's pretty easy to use and to control the environment, basically, I'll put it that way, with what you have going on. Somebody else in the chat might be able to give a better answer to that than I can, because I'm just going based on what I've seen. I don't have experience with it, and so I'll just leave it at that.
So I'm on the opposite boat. I don't know much about the Weber Smoky Mountain, but I can say that I've watched, 12 million pit barrel cooker videos, because before I got my Humphreys Down East Beast, that's what I was looking at possibly. And the science behind it, I don't fully understand how, if you hang a rack of ribs, one end doesn't get hotter than the other. But what I will say is that once you get to a certain point, and whether it's ribs or any, Boston butt, you end up having to take it off hanging vertically and put it on the rack. So I don't know where the value is in that, because the rack, I don't know what the diameter is on those things, but it seems like for the money, I feel like you can get something different that gets you more space. So the Weber Smoky Mountain's what, $300 now? Am I right on that?
400
Roughly?
is what I paid for it.
So you're going to pay, I can't remember if the pit barrel cooker is $200 or $300, but I think you get a lot more cooking area out of the Weber Smoky Mountain than you would the pit barrel cooker. I think honestly the pit barrel cooker got popular because everybody was on the ugly drum kick for a while, and this was the economical, I don't have to do anything and it shows up at my door. Not taking anything against it. I think it's probably great for most people, but I don't know that it's a value when you can spend an extra $100 and get 3 times the cooking capacity, but that's just my opinion. I wouldn't turn one down if it showed up here at the testing laboratory.
No, I wouldn't either.
What's your viewpoint on lump versus briquettes and why?
Well, I have used both. The briquettes seem to stay hotter for a longer period of time. If you're looking for a low and slow, I wouldn't use the lump, that's for sure. But lump starts off hotter. So if you're looking for something, say the thing I think that lump's really good for, like if you're going to do a caveman steak, a T-bone, whatever, it's perfect for that. That's why you see everybody using it, because of the initial amount of heat it produces, but it burns out quicker, it seems, than a lot of the lump charcoal that I've used. I pretty much use nothing but Kingsford, and haven't really ever used anything else, just personal preference. But I know if you watch Bill Gowdy, he uses the, I think it's from Camp Made, and it's a totally different shape. It doesn't have like the little groove in it for the airflow, the aerodynamic Kingsford. And it seemed to burn better for a longer period of time. But if you're looking for something where you want to cook like a steak and get some really good sear marks on it, I'd say the lump charcoal is great for that. Under the grates, of course, not cooking it directly on the coals or on the lump. But ultimately, I think most people are going to get more out of the coal, just your classic charcoal, the briquettes, than out of the lump, just because a lot of people are going to be able to control that a little bit easier. The heat's going to stay hotter longer, and I don't know, it just seems to be easier to control for me, but not an expert on that. I don't claim to be an expert on anything. That way I don't get myself in trouble.
So I actually have personal opinions, and I'm planning on working on a video to do this, but my intent is that, say I put this video out in January, so we'll have quite a few more. I'm going to take my opinion and kind of marry it up with other people that come on here. One thing I wanted to hit on is Ballistic BBQ just hopped on here, which I'm kind of like in envy here that I've made it to where he watches me. But
hey, Greg.
Greg made the comment for the pit barrel cooker that you can cook 8 racks of ribs or 4 whole chickens, whole turkeys, whole prime ribs, and it runs itself for $299 delivered. So he's got experience with that more than I do. So I just wanted to make that comment because I don't think that the comments during the chat actually show up after the video comes out. So I pretty well value his opinion. So like I said, I don't have anything other than watching videos on it. And most people that cook on those things typically do 1 rack of ribs or something like that. So I'm going through the comments, see if I missed anybody. Hey, while we're here, I got a question for the people who are watching and who will eventually watch it on the comments. But how long do you guys want me to keep these things for? An hour, 2 hours, as long as the person that's on the other side stays on? I'm just kind of curious. All right, so looks like I'm caught up. Meathead wants to know if you intend on smoking a watermelon.
Haven't quite thought about that yet. Who knows? That would make for an interesting video. Could go viral. So I'll have to think about that. Who asked that question?
Meathead.
Okay.
He always comes.
Yeah, since Meathead asked, I will smoke a watermelon and see what happens.
One other thing, we're getting close to my questions here. I've got more, but if you guys have anything else you want me to ask, start piling them in here at the end. So I know you talked about it briefly, but kind of give us the 30,000 foot view of, you started your channel, and I know you were either going to school or you left to go to school or something like that.
Yeah, you know,
Kind of
I
go from
started the
there to
channel
today.
in 2012, and I don't remember when the last video was I made. Probably sometime in 2013. It was in 2013 for sure. Probably mid to late 2013, and then I just decided to go in a different direction. Got busy with some other things. I went back to school in Colorado, and that was a busy time for those couple of years I was there, especially in the business school portion of that. That was the drinking from a fire hose experience. We went through 40, I want to say 45 courses in what amounted to 8 months, if you count all the time we had off for breaks and stuff like that, Christmas break and all that. That was a busy time. 45 courses in 8 months. So I decided to take a break from that and decided, you know what, I'm just going to focus on school. I don't want to get distracted because, you know, I love making the videos, but it just kind of worked out that way. And so I started watching more cooking videos again, I guess in May or June of this year, and said, you know what, I think I'm going to get back into this. And then shortly after that, actually, one of my sisters, I have two older sisters, and one of them said, we wish you would start making cooking videos again. So that got me going. And in fact, hang on one second. I'm going to grab something right over here.
Have at her. I can freestyle.
I didn't really want to invest in a camera yet because I didn't know how much I would do of this. And I thought, well, I want to use my cell phone, but I don't want to have to hold it while I'm cooking. And so one of my nephews had this. This is the tripod I was using with my cell phone, with my iPhone, for quite a while until last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, when I got the camera over my shoulder here. And so that's kind of the story on that, as far as where that went and why I took such a long break. I started making the videos again when I was in Colorado in 2015, I think it was, during that summer, and made quite a few. But I was having to hold the camera with my hand and everything, and it just made it challenging. And then when school started back up, that was when I went into the business school, and wow, I just did not have time to make the videos anymore. And so I kind of took that break. But this is, you know, going back to a question earlier of kind of the goals of my channel, this really helps to give the 30,000 foot view, or when I'm teaching, I call it the 360-degree view, because you're constantly moving and looking from every possible direction so you don't miss anything. And so here's a little addition to that. I'm a real thinker. I like to take on challenges and see how things work and see what I can do with something. So I have some very specific goals for numbers on my channel. And so it's that challenge of seeing if I can actually pull that off in my time frame that I've said, and just see what happens with it. It really will give me, if this goes the way I think it will and the way I desire it to, based on my vision and my goals to achieve that vision, then it will actually benefit me in more than one way, not only with the fun of the channel, but also an additional story and real life example that I can use in my seminars when I'm out teaching people. I can say, here's something I did using what I'm teaching you, and it worked. I can actually put it up on the PowerPoint on the screen and show people the steps and stages of what I've done with Cooking with TomTom.
So one thing I want to add as one of my core questions that I'm going to throw in here is, so a lot of people talk about SEO, search engine optimization, apps like, or programs like TubeBuddy. I use, I think it's called DivIQ. I don't know. I just added it on last night. vidIQ, my bad. You use anything like that, or do you focus on those type of things, or you just kind of put it out there and run with, see what happens?
I just put it out there basically. I just maximize the characters that I have for my tags and for my title, and I try and be as thorough in my description as I can. I don't put a ton in there, but I try and put some keywords in that too, just things that match up with what I'm doing. But as far as using any kind of programs like you're doing, I'm not saying that's not something that I should do or shouldn't do. Um, some people like them, some people don't. But at this point, that's not what I'm using. I'm just kind of going with what I've done. I mean, you have to understand, I'm really old school with this stuff. I started building websites. I owned a web design company for 10 years and started that in 1997. So keywords were a big deal back then. You don't have web rings anymore, but you still have the keywords. And some people actually think keywords are outdated, but I really think picking your own keywords are very important. And just a little tip on how to do that. If you want to know what's going on, go out. If you know what you're going to be doing ahead of time, spend some time researching that on Google or whatever your search engine of choice is, and just see what comes up. And that's going to tell you right there what you should and shouldn't use. And here's one that's a little bit strange, and I've seen some results from this, sometimes by accident, sometimes I'll do it on purpose: misspelling of words, because everybody does it. So somebody might misspell something when they're searching for a video, and yours might pop up. Just a little tip. And what you can actually do with that is use the same word back to back. Like steak can be spelled S-T-A-E-K, and then spell steak in front of it the correct way. Just a little tip, just something to try, but it does actually work.
That's what always cracks me up, is I'll see somebody misspell a word and they'll have a humongous amount of views on something, and I just wonder sometimes how did that get through?
That's how it works. That's exactly what it is.
We got somebody on here, and they may have already bounced off, named Little Angel 04, claiming to be your oldest sister.
That is my oldest sister. She's a geezer. But I love old people.
All right, I'm gonna make sure that I've not missed anything. Everybody wants to know how you get somebody's tag, how to tag somebody's name in the comments, and I will make that a goal. In next video, I will have that answer. Anything you want to finish out with?
I don't know the dates of this, but I'm going to be holding my YouTube gathering for people with cooking channels, of course. It's probably going to be in May or June, and I'm just trying to do it around that time because I want people to be more free for planning maybe vacation time if they need to use it for that. I don't know what we're going to do, how many days, probably 2 days maybe. It'll be in my home in Shreveport, Louisiana, but all of you who have cooking channels are welcome to come to that. So I want to just throw that out there ahead of time. That'll be obviously in 2018, but that's going to be a lot of fun. And it'll be fun to meet some people in person. I know Big Lou's going to come. T-Roy, I hope, will come. Justin from Baby Back Maniac, he's only about 3.5 hours away from me. He'll probably come. People like that will be here. It'll be a lot of fun. And one thing I am going to do during that time is actually hold a little, probably 15 to 30 minutes at most, while people are eating. If they want to take notes, we can figure it out. But I actually will teach some of what I know about how to market things and how to really increase what you're doing. It's not what you learn on the internet most of the time. It's not keywords, and it's not tagging and hashtags and stuff like that. It's stuff that you just don't hear about very often. I talk about vision casting and goal setting. There's a very specific way to make all of that work. And when you do that, you are going to accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish. Like I always tell people, the key, and I said it earlier for Jars Johnson, as long as you don't give up, you're going to win. And that's the main key. Stick with it.
Awesome. I've got a couple people coming up in the future that I've been working with, Baker Barbecue, GQ Barbecue, and I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. And I've also got something secret in my pocket. I'm working out dates. I don't want to put that out there right yet, but it's going to be kind of big and shocking to some people. So stay tuned. Tom, don't hop off here just yet because I want to talk to you off camera. But thanks everybody for watching, and have a great night.
Yeah, have a great night, guys. Thank you, Chris, for the opportunity.
And I'm supposed to say, hit the subscribe button, tap the bell, share. Am I missing anything?
I think you're good. Hit the bell.
See, my thing, I'm gonna go on a small rant here about the bell. I don't click the bell because I don't want an email every 5 minutes every time somebody posts a video. So I actually, in the last 2 videos, I think have said don't hit the bell because I'm trying to save them from that drama. So, all right, we're going to click off here. Bye.